All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. How is everybody doing? This is the I Love Real Estate Student Success Stories, and we've got another fantastic success story for you. Jared, hey man, good to see you there. Thanks for connecting up very soon as well, Jared. You were one of the first people to connect up, which was awesome. So today I have a story of someone who's managed to turn his situation around in an incredibly short period of time. And I think the real reason he's been able to do that is the attitude and approach that he's learned and changed in the process of going through the training. It's a very insightful story, and I don't want to delay it anymore. So I want to introduce Sergio. Sergio, how are you doing? Welcome to today's success story interview.
Thanks, Michael. That's a great introduction. Yeah, great to be here. I'm looking forward to talking to you and talking to the community. So thanks for the intros and thanks for the opportunity to speak today. Cool.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I really appreciate you kind of taking the time out to be able to share as well, because I know that you've still kind of got a few things on, so much appreciated. So, look, I suppose the first thing I want to do is let's just find out a little bit about before, I mean, I always like to know, like, where were you at before you joined I Love Real Estate? I mean, everyone kind of thinks, oh, wow, things have happened. But before you did, where were you at? Because, what was your life like before you'd actually joined?
Yeah, look, it's a standard question, isn't it? And it's really important. It sets the scene. For us, day to day, living in you feel like you're in a day-to-day rut, you're living day to day, week by week, but with no real kind of goal in mind that we can get to a vehicle as such. We were working to make a living, but we weren't really building a fortune or building wealth. So, pretty lost. And I must say we had that shiny object syndrome, SOS. Every time you look around, there's a proposition to be able to build wealth. And I think I was caught up in that. You hear Amazon and Bitcoin and all the share markets and everything else. And so very confused, I must say, and very day to day, I must say as well. So that's probably our life before we actually started. Yes.
Yeah. No, I understand, man. And I think that, had you been burnt at all by other things, other interests or anything?
Yeah, I think you go into some with good intentions, but you lose money and you pick yourself up again. You tend to win one, lose two, so you're always on your back foot all the time. And so yes is the answer. We explored some of the options. Unfortunately, the risk and the reward as you go through each of the opportunities. But yeah. But we didn't actually land on something that actually did work. And that was the frustration bit, because it's no lack of trying or lack of motivation, it's just the lack of the right vehicle. And so that was probably the most frustrating thing about it.
Yeah, no, I understand. Now, can I just ask you one quick thing? Can you just go down to where the mute tab is? I'd like to turn the volume of your microphone up a little, if that's okay. So if you can go to the little tab, it's got the little up arrow where it says mute, and it goes to the audio settings.
Mm-hmm.
If you click onto that, and where your microphone is, the input volume, can you put it up to about maybe 3/4?
I can. How's it?
Oh, that's better. Heaps better. Heaps better. Yep. Fantastic. All right, cool. Thank you so much. All right. So look, I suppose the next kind of thing I really want to kind of look at is why did you decide? I mean, obviously you joined I Love Real Estate. What happened as a consequence of you coming into the community?
Yeah, look, you're hitting your head against the wall, living day to day, and you don't have the right vehicle as such. So you don't feel you're progressing, and you don't feel you can achieve what you want to achieve. And so we decided after watching the video from Dymphna, so the property thing and the property game has always been in your DNA. But, based on, what we heard from that first video, you click on it and you hear a lot of things that resonates to talk about, building financial independence, building wealth, having some financial freedom. That all resonated with us. And then as you go through the one-day event, Dymphna hit a lot of the things that were, the problems that we were experiencing. One of them being that, we thought going into real estate through negative gearing was something that was told to everybody, and that's one of the mistakes that we did as well. But also because we wanted to know the right vehicle, the right strategies to help us to achieve those goals. And so that was one. The other two was quite a broad brush of learnings. The scope of property, as you know, is quite large, and there's different strategies that can be applied. And having Dymphna talk through to build some level of independence while still having a child and a marriage breakup, if someone like that can go through it, then why can't yourself? So that's why we decided to join right there and there. We actually, I think we joined straight away. We went straight into the quantum membership, I think. Mm-hmm. So we just, so that was kind of the main reason why we thought. And there was a lot of success stories. You talk about success and stories and interviews. These are real people living day to day who have a dream, and that resonated with us too. So that was basically the reason why we joined.
Mm-hmm. And that was back in 2018, was it?
Yeah, that was 2018. That's right, February 2018.
Yeah. Okay, great. February. So you're looking at 3.5 years.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Only short in the scheme of things.
It's pretty short. It is. That's right.
Yeah. So how did things change for you when you first got into the training? What were the things that really kind of changed in your life once you got into the training?
Yeah, the training's quite interesting. Once you go into learning, you've got the boot camp, you've got the Millionaire Within. I'm sure people on the call will be very familiar with those ones, and that started to change our mindsets, into actually believing that there is a strategy behind creating wealth or building a financial freedom lifestyle, if you like. And so the world started to change because we started to understand the different strategies across property, and that's in itself a really good foundation piece that gives you. The other thing was that not only it's a strategy of learning the training about how to invest in property depending on your goals and your objectives, but it really is a personal development journey. And so what I really enjoyed about the course was it's just not a strategy about property. Actually, it's like a life-changing strategy of personal development, which works on your mindsets, but also works on your health, but also it works on the way you influence and relationships. And they're all kind of key things because they're all integrated to be able to accelerate what you want to achieve. So we've got a lot of value from that. Even in the first 2-3 workshops, I think that just set the foundations for the future training that we set through. So that was really cool.
Yeah, there's you kind of like got a lot out of just the whole decision-making process, didn't you? Can you explain a little bit about that? Because I think that's really an interesting and really insightful thing, that your approach in regards to your decision-making process.
Yeah, it's a very good point, because it all sits with making a decision. And if you go back in your life and your successes, even your challenges, the way you overcome that is through a decision, of actually making a decision, like the decision that we've made to come into ILRE real estate. You have to decide to take action to be able to do that. You have to decide to go into one membership. You have to decide to go to the boot camp. And so, when you look at things, I know that, and we've all dealt with this at some point in our stage, procrastination, and to be able to think, analysis paralysis sometimes. There's so much information and it's very hard to make an informed decision. But if you make the decision, even just to take one piece of action today, I think that speaks volume, because it's a snowball effect. And then you soon realize that, you start to decide that this is the vehicle, you decide to implement habits, and it becomes a discipline that you implement in your day-to-day, in your decision-making, but also in your general day-to-day to be able to get to, in terms of your action plan, in terms of working through your strategies, it helps with everything that you surround yourself with.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a few things in there, I think, with the decision-making process, the habits, a little bit of discipline, all those kind of things.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think, one thing that I've learned through this is that you've got to take responsibility of your decisions, but you've got to take responsibility of what happens to you. What happens to us happens to everybody. The pandemic, obviously, but, the economic situations, it happens to us all. But it's the way you respond to that. And the ability to do that is that if you incorporate habits in your lifestyle, in your day-to-day, and you keep the discipline, these small incremental wins become a snowball effect. And that's what we found in our situation is that if you're disciplined and you start seeing these incremental results, it's actually really quite motivating because you get a win, you get your first property, you celebrate, and you actually get more motivation to go again, and that helps you with with all areas. And so sometimes it's a slippery slope. You tend to go off the wagon as such, but then you realize once you're back on it, it's really, really good. And that's when you know that discipline becomes a really key part of your day-to-day as well, with your habits, but also making decisions as well.
Absolutely. So after you got into the Ultimate Boot Camp, and then there was also the Real Estate Millionaire Within, the ones that really kind of impacted you, yeah. What came next for you?
What came next is action. There's so much about knowledge, which is fantastic because it lays the foundation. And, you've got the strategies. For us, it was all about commercial property because we made a decision that commercial property was the vehicle for us. And so what happened straight after that is just taking action on your plan and making sure that you're held accountable. And so it was myself and my wife, Charity. We came up with a game plan, roles and responsibilities, came up with a bit of a plan that implements what we learned in these boot camps and actually taking action. So I think because you're on a natural high from these boot camps, everyone's feeling great. But what happens on Monday when you go back to the grind, when you go back to the office? So that's where it becomes even more important to implement those habits, implement your strategy. And it really is about, the main thing that we've realized, it's about taking action straight away and not procrastinating, just moving forward.
Yeah. Sergio, I want to just kind of find out a little bit more because you're saying that you made the decision on commercial property, but how did you come to that decision? Because it's like you when you came into the community and you were looking at what you were wanting out from the program, was it cash flow? Was it equity? What you know what I mean? So you would have come to a decision-making process to say, hey, commercial is right. Do you want to just kind of expand a little bit on that kind of process?
Yeah, I will, because it's. I think it's really important. I probably took in my shiny object syndrome into the property game as well, because once you're in the community, as you know, that there's so many wonderful different vehicles and different strategies. So, you're at a boot camp and they talk about property development and it's great, it's fantastic. And you want to jump into property development. Then you go to another seminar, which is all about cash flow strategies. So you learn about Airbnb and commercial property and so on. So where we've made the decision, we made a decision, let's try the property development path. We had a JV deal where we put in the money and the other half found the site. We spent about 3 months working really hard to come up with the feasibility, to come up with the council plans, etc. And we went to the auction with high hopes, with a number. And, we're Novus people, but there was 3 other developers coming in on the same day bidding. So their margin was obviously, we couldn't compete with that. And then that was the decision that day. It was like, okay, I think if we could pursue this, this is not for us, because we're not developers and we can't compete in that market. So cash flow has always been one of our financial independence. So the question is, what's the vehicle that will give you financial independence where you've got cash flow coming in and you're not realizing that you need to do, you have to be in an office, or you still got cash flow coming while you're traveling, or you've got the freedom to decide whether you want to go to work or not. And so what the decision for commercial property was based on our risk profile, but also based on the yields that you can get from commercial property as well. And so that was the decision based on our framework to say, if we've got, what's the number that we could say that we can become financial independent? And that became the goal. Then it was, okay, so what's the vehicle that gets you there the most fastest? Do you want to drive, no disrespect, do you want to drive do you want to ride a bicycle on a 3-way lane to get there? Or do you want a Ferrari or something that's a lot faster? And so we saw commercial property as that vehicle that takes you to A to B, to the goal that you want to get to a lot faster than it would be through the other vehicles. So that was the decision. So hopefully that, that gives you a bit of a framework of our mindset at the time. And then, once we made the decision, it was all about, how do we get the information? How do you get the knowledge? How do you learn the strategies? What's the person that you have to become to be able to become a commercial property expert? So they're all things that came after that decision. And yeah, so that's where it all started.
Yeah, good. So the goal essentially was a passive income, so that, you could kind of, if you choose to, retire from work. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And the answer was, commercial is going to do that for you.
That's right, for us. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. So then you can we have a look at some of the deals that you've done? So I mean, like I think initially you kind of like looked at your PPR initially. Was that the first thing that you did?
Yeah, we looked at our PPR. So at the time, as we entered the ILRE, so we had a PPR, we had investment property, and we looked at our PPR just to see what equity can we reduce, like leverage from. And so that was the first thing we did. Let's release some equity, and that allowed us to invest in our first commercial property. So that was kind of the strategy around that. And then, the first deal that we had came through. It was a regional site. I was just entering that commercial property knowledge. And it was a property in regional Queensland. The return on that itself was about 60 to 65K per annum, free of cost. And so that was probably one of the biggest, achievements, is to land on that property deal. It came from a referral actually through the ILRE real estate community. And so that was one of the first deal. And then we started to set ourselves, because of the income and because of the savings that we had, we were able to go again very quickly straight after that. We looked across different buyers agents to help us facilitate a decision. And so a second property came shortly after that. And that helped us again, probably another 35K of income coming through. And then we had our third property in the same year come through. That was quite a large site, a different risk profile. But this one kind of landed on the lap after some discussions and building relationships with agents in Queensland. And part of that was that it was a good source of income, a good tenant with with tenancy agreements that favoured the landlord, which is great. But also they had a sustainable business model, which I felt it was worth investing. And so we went again. Now, to do that, we had to sell one of our investment properties to be able to go again. So we were able to sort of, the 1 and 2 set the foundations to then start looking at other properties and deals. And so our goal was to, I guess from a passive income was, well, what's the number that allows us to say that we're independent and we don't need day jobs as such? So we had a number, and that number was something that we reached in that 2019, that year that everything seemed to happen for us. So that was really cool. Yeah.
So you did 3 deals in a year.
We did 3 deals of commercial property, and on top of that, we actually we bought a property on behalf of for my parents. This is one of the wonderful things about learning the strategies, is to be able to help not only yourself as a family, but the people around you, and that being my parents. So my parents had a bit of saving, and they were looking, you know, they were getting 3% in the bank deposits. But when you do the numbers and compare it to passive income and commercial property, you know, you're already talking 9% or 9.5%. And so, you know, we went through an agent through this one. We went to the site. We liked the property. The risk profile was good for my parents, and we landed on a really good deal for this one for them. And since then, you know, they love commercial property as well. And I think that's probably the most satisfying things about this, is that, you know, the metaphor, you know, you don't want to give someone a fish, you actually want to teach them how to fish. And, you know, my parents have grown through that commercial property experience as well. But also the people around us, we've helped and supported a number of our friends, just to show a comparison between, if you were to invest your money for the same amount of money here, you'll be able to get a different return if you invest in this vehicle. And so, you know, a couple of my mates have actually invested in commercial property, which is great because it's a step closer to their goal that allows them to get some financial independence or financial freedom as well.
Mm-hmm. It must be a pretty cool feeling being able to help your parents in that way. What was that like?
Yeah, you get to appreciate your parents in a way that's, you know, as a kid, you don't really value your parents as such. I mean, we've had a really close, I come from a Latin background, so love my parents, great mentorship and everything else. But, you know, they did it hard, you know, raising 2 kids, blue collar workers, and to be able to give them something back in a form of a vehicle that allows them to have a bit more freedom, probably enjoy their lifestyle, which is great. And for me, it's always trying to get them, you know, enjoying themselves rather than trying to think about anything other than, you know, staying healthy and income coming through. So that's really cool. That's really cool.
Fantastic. And so with those 3 deals, what did you end up with cash flow wise?
250K was the number that we've struck. So we had an aggressive plan, very aggressive goal. And like I said, I think we made the decision that was the number. I don't know why that was the number. The number was based on, you know, our income at the time and based on having some of that freedom. And that number just, to be able to get to that number it's been really satisfying, not only from a confidence, but also to ensure that the things that we've been learning as part of this community, a part of the training, part of the networking, part of the relationships that you build, if you implement that and you take action, that's really proof that it actually does work. It's not just a fantasy or it's just a dream. It's actually reality. And, you know, that was always the goal. And once you put your mind to it, it's always been something that you work towards. And that came right at the end of that financial year. So it was really cool.
That's pretty impressive to come into the community in 2018, and then at the tail end of 2019, was it, or the tail end of?
Correct, 2019. Yep.
So within like a 20 month period of time to come out with 250,000 passive income, mate. Awesome.
Yeah. I think it's you know, we've got a lot. It's not. It's a team effort. It's not one individual effort. One of the things that I've realised through training is that you can't do it on your own. but you need a team around you. You know, you could. I'm very lucky. My wife very supportive. You know, we work as a team, not as a husband and wife, but as a partnership business model as well. That really works. And the team around you, you know, you need a good accountant, you need a good lawyer, you need a good training material to help you support what you want to learn. You need to be in good. For me, it was good health as well. So I think they're all linked. Having, you know, a good health and a regime to make sure you're in check gives you the right energy levels to keep going again and be productive during the day. I think that's really key in terms of when I look back and reflect. They're all factors that help you contribute to that success. So it's not just a one-person team. It's definitely building that A team around you.
Mm-hmm. And you also continued with your training as well. Like when you first came in, you came in as a quantum student, but then you progressed and you went up to platinum as well.
Yeah, that was, I mean, even just doing, you know, the foundation is great, but if you want to accelerate, or like I mentioned, if you want to go on the fast lane towards your goal, you got to look at things that will help you and complement what your vehicle would look like. And so we went straight into platinum. We made the decision. So shortly after we joined with quantum, we started platinum the same year. And what platinum gave for us, and I'm not trying to sell platinum, but I can only share my experience, is that you're held accountable. You're held accountable in a way that you've got, you know, you've got a coach behind you. So that's refreshing and rewarding. But you go into deeper dives into each month a specific strategy. And the cool thing about it is that you get to talk and discuss and debate with like-minded people who have made the decision to participate in greater learning. So that was really cool. The other thing I really enjoyed about platinum was the actual workshops and the boot camps. I was probably one of the things that comes to mind was in 2019, 2018. My first platinum event was in Queensland. I was just blown away. I was so inspired and motivated after that weekend. I just couldn't sleep. And that just gives you fuel for your fire to keep going and to know that you're on the correct path. And I just knew that it was just a matter of time that you were going to get your first commercial property or your first deal under your belt. And so I've really enjoyed the boot camp. And number three, the relationships that we've built have been fantastic, because, you know, everyone comes in at different stages in their life, but it's a safe community to talk about, you know, property and wealth and everything else. Whereas the world outside this community, it's a little bit difficult. You know, people may feel uncomfortable when you do talk about it. And so that was the other reason. You build these really strong, solid relationships, and everyone shares their experience. And if you've got a problem, you know, you generally get out to the community, ask some good questions, and you're always going to get some feedback and responses about somebody who's either done the experience or knows somebody who's gone through the experience to be able to feed that back. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, platinum is a very special, a bit more of an intimate, a bit more of intense, and accountability is really the key point there as well with platinum. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. And then you couldn't sleep, hey?
Couldn't sleep. You know, it's not like you're on sugar, but it really, you just want to get up in the morning. You want to get on with the day. You've got all these things in your mind, and it's really important for me just to write things down. You know, when you get things out of your head into paper, you're actually translating that, saying, okay, cool, now that's a commitment to myself. That's what I want to do today. And I think by starting the day like that, it was great. It set the foundation. So it's good.
Yeah. Awesome. And I want to expand on that point about getting up early a little bit later on too, because you have a very special thing of what you do too, which I think is unique, and I think it's really cool. And you know, and Dymphna has this term as well, but we'll pick on that in a minute. Now, look, I wanted to just cover off, because it's quite obviously you've you've done some amazing things in a short period of time. But I also want to know, well, has anything happened where it's like things haven't gone the way you want? Or how do you deal with when things come up? I mean, obviously, when you go down the path of real estate and go down the path of investing and with commercial and so forth, is it clean sailing? Is it just smooth? Is everything for you? Or are there things that you need to deal with? And I think that you might have had one or two things that might have come up that you had to then kind of like deal with. And do you want to just kind of share a little bit about that? I think there was something about some situation with some tenants and so forth, especially when it comes to commercial. It's really important to have the tenants. So yeah, you happy to share a little bit of that?
Yeah. Happy to. I mean, there's many stories, a lot of issues and challenges. I think it's important to ask that question because people just see the rosy brochure at the end and they don't see the work that goes behind that brochure. Yeah, look, I've had many issues, and I call them opportunities, right? It really becomes a mindset thing because if you just look at it from an opportunity perspective, you're going to learn from that opportunity and you're going to grow from it. So that's kind of where the mindset is to begin with. I've had issues. I've had a multi-tenancy building where I've got 4 tenants, which is great property in regional Queensland. But I've got 2 tenants just at it all the time, and it's been going on for 2 years. And you know, it's tit for tat. You know, someone leaves a bad letter or bangs the door, and it's now escalated now to court. Now it's gone to court. It actually made the newspaper only yesterday. And it's, these are the kind of issues. And as a landlord, you've got to play the referee. You've got to say, well, please provide the information. Look, that's a little bit out of order. That's against the rules. Luckily, I've got a really good agent who's been very patient and persevering as well. But I had to step in, and that's unplanned time, or let's say, that there are challenges with those discussions because you are talking about people's lifeline. It's their business, and they don't want business impacting them. And this has gone to the, like I said, it's reached the papers now, and so that's not good. And the way we're addressing that is we unfortunately we tried the mitigation, we've tried different strategies to be able to go on different days for them, or trying to avoid contact as well. And so we've tried all the different options. Now we're at the court option, which there'll be an affidavit and evidence to be provided. It's not a violent thing. It's more kind of inappropriate behaviour and language and usage. So if I term it in that category, that's probably, I've spent a lot of time, probably the last year, mediating between the two. And that has an impact on the building with other tenants as well. So that's probably one of the issues. That's been one of the challenges. But like I said, entering that, I think if you enter things like with a good mindset to say it's an opportunity to grow. And I've always remembered the Jim Rohn's quote to say, don't wish for more problems, wish for more skills. Or don't wish for more challenges, wish for more wisdom. And that always struck with me. So, you can't grow without challenges. And knowing that gets you a different mindset that, you go into these problems and challenging conversations, knowing that, you will find a solution, and you'll find the right solution eventually if you keep at it.
Yeah. Sorry, just typing in an answer to a question there from Sarasa. Yeah, look, it's really interesting. I got to say, Sergio, I love your attitude. It's like, a problem is an opportunity, How can we see an opportunity there? Yes. Especially with something like that. It's like, oh, it's escalated, and it's gone there. And you've got this kind of very chilled out kind of like, yeah, it's got to this point, and so if anyone's listening and you're kind of like going, hey, what do you do in a certain situation like this? Yeah, take it out. Take a chilled version like Sergio. Treat it like an opportunity, and roll with it, hey?
Yeah. I think a lot of that's credit to my coach as well. I've had a very good learning. So I don't know if people know back Ubel, who's part of the Platinum, he's instilled that in your DNA. He's actually put that in your DNA. So, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because, your circle of comfortability is there to protect you, is actually there deliberately to protect you and stop you from coming outside. So, and that's a big no-no. You really have to have that mindset that the only way you're going to grow is out of that comfort zone. And I remember him saying that in one of the seminars to say, like, if you look at your success in the past, there was always an element of uncomfortability. And so if you recognize that, you would recognize that anytime that you've got uncomfortability, whether it's going through a deal or attending a boot camp or anything like that, that's an opportunity for you to grow and take it on, because you're going to grow outside of your comfort zone. And so that's going to help you either learn, have that conversation, pick up that phone. They're all things that are going to drive sort of that challenge to get out of that comfort zone.
Totally. And for those of you who don't know, what Sergio's kind of just mentioned is a lot of that training is from Platinum. It's very much around the mindset side of things. And there is a particular trainer. His name is Vac. It is an unusual name, but he is quite an amazing person. And he does drill down on finding the real key points to be able to shift your focus in order that you are just far more efficient and effective, not only in investing in real estate, but also in life as well. And accountability is a key point. Responsibility, accountability, all those types of words, they all come up with Vac. He's quite amazing. And you'll probably hear that more and more if you're wondering about it. When Platinums talk about it, that really it's where it's coming from. It's the high level training, part of the high level training. Yeah.
That's it.
Fantastic. Now, look, there was one other thing that I wanted to find out about, and that was that because it was, we're in this kind of situation, this COVID situation. You also had a situation with one of your tenants not actually getting rent coming in or something, and I want you to kind of explain what you did about it. This is really key, and this highlights exactly what you're talking about with mindset, how you can approach things in a different way.
Look, during the pandemic, as you know, the lifeline of businesses is all about customers and delivering value to the marketplace. You're given a return based on the value you bring. So the investments that we made in commercial property are all about not only owning the land, the infrastructure, but it's also you investing in their business and their business model. With the pandemic, we knew that was going to be a problem for businesses because obviously lockdowns and shutdowns and, which was going to be a cause of concern. So the first thing that we did, we contacted all our tenants. We reached out to them and we reached out to them individually, personally, and we set up a call. And the first thing on the agenda was like, as the landlord, I know you're the tenant, thanks for working together. But it was to agree that we're a partner. It's a partnership model. I don't see myself as a landlord. You don't see yourself as a tenant. We're in this together. And we can't control the pandemic. We can't control what's happening around us, but we can control our circumstances. So that was the mindset coming into these conversations. And, the feedback that we got, it was very productive conversations. It was, look, we are experiencing some issues, or no, we're okay, thanks for asking. And so it gave us an opportunity to build that relationship, which I think is really important. And once you build that relationship, you're going to build the trust. And once you build trust, you can be an open, transparent, and that broadens your partnership, which is great. Fortunately for us in these businesses, there was only one that required a rent relief during that time, and that was only for 2 months. So we just said, look, the government guidelines, for example, is that we need a P&L, we need a register that says, or that your sales have reduced by this amount, and therefore you reduce the rent by that amount. We said, we don't worry about that. Tell me, tell me what the impact is on your revenue. And then we just said, let's agree that this is the percentage. And that's what we went in with, so for that tenant. So they what I found from that experience was that even though there was businesses that weren't impacted as much, I just the relationship has helped because they look after the property better. They're open and transparent with communications. They look, you know, they want to extend because they know that it's a partnership model, and it's just not another landlord coming and asking for their rent. And I think that spoke volumes because, you know, if I'm proactive with that, if I'm the first one to do that, then it's not a retrospect, it's more being proactive about your circumstances. So I'm glad I did it. And that was a genuine offer. It was a real genuine offer to say, we know everyone's hurting. Can you, we're here to help you. How can we help? So that was, I thought that experience was really cool.
That is really cool. That's really special, especially when businesses are hurting, and you come in and you've just said, treat it as an opportunity, and you've created a partnership rather than just really awesome. Hey, just a quick question. There's a question here, Sergio, that says, did you buy your first 2 commercial properties yourself without a BA? And why did you utilize the services of BA for your parents' purchase? Pros and cons of using BA versus your own.
Yeah, the first one was without, so that was on my own. It was actually a referral on the ILRE real estate community. Someone picked up a deal, couldn't go through it, so I took it on for a fee and did the due diligence and so on my own. And I had a lot of lessons learned from that experience, but I did, it was great that I went through that experience. We were looking for that second one very quickly. So our mindset at the time was that let's run in parallel. Let's see what a buyer's agent can do, and let's see what we can do. And whatever comes first for the right price, for the right profile. And in this case, the second one did come from a BA. The third one was on our own, and that was based on relationships that we had built. Sometimes you get off-market deals as such, and then people tap you on the shoulder because of the relationship that's been built. The fourth one for my parents, that was for a BA. Again, it's you go looking, but you also run in parallel, and whoever gets to the finish line first, then that was our approach to the BA side of things. And through the BA, you actually learn a lot as well, because some of them provide more than just finding the property. They provide due diligence. They provide a team around them as well. So, you know, it's people say work smarter, you know, which is, you know, something that you outsource, like we outsource something else. So we outsource to someone who's got 10, 15 years experience versus someone who's probably only got 2 years experience. They've probably got better chance to find something. But again, like I say, you pay for that fee. You've got to pay for that, and you've got to determine what works for yourself. It's case by case basis.
Interesting, and that's really as a part that's related to your aggressive approach too, isn't it? You were like, this is what we want. We want to get out there and do that, and so you're utilizing and bringing in more people into your team in order to achieve your aggressive target.
Yeah, that's right. It's, you know, how do you build a team around you to be able to get to your goal? And that allows you to accelerate where you want to go. I think, you know, having a good network, having the team, but also the knowledge to be able to do that allows you to actually formulate and keep growing the team, because your team does change as your goal starts to change. As you hit more goals, you get new goals, and then your team starts to change as well with that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So if you look at your life now, from when you started, and now you've obviously you've achieved quite a lot. Your life has really changed quite dramatically from what I can see. How is your life different now to when you first joined?
I've certainly lost a few kilos, that's for sure, which is good. Yeah, look, I think it'll be interesting actually to interview yourself back then. But what I can say now, we're in a, you know, very happy. I mean, I'm generally a happy person. I've got a great relationship, great family support, but you know, we don't have the that stress where you have to come to work or you have to have work on your living or your day job, because when you see income coming through on a regular, it's really quite rewarding. So that's been really cool. The other thing, I know I joke about kilos and so on, but the one thing is that we're a lot healthier and we've got a lot more energy, even though it's been 2-3 years. You know, you feel like you've gone back 10 years in terms of your health wise, both in terms of performance, in terms of productivity, but also in terms of health and the mindset as well. And the relationships that we've built, they're a lot richer as such. They're more deep and, you know, deep in terms of expanding that to people that we wouldn't have met if we didn't join a community. And so I think they all play a part in where you are in life. And the thing that I must say is, like, once you get to your goal, you don't stop. You're actually more motivated. I'm more motivated than I was back then. I actually feel more energetic for the next chapter. And so these wins that you get, it actually is like fuel to be able to sort of look forward for the next 2 to 3, 5 years, 10 years. So that's what it's done. And I think, you know, it's the person that you've become, you know, healthier, you've got good relationships, less stress, which means, you know, you're sleeping better, which is great. If you sleep better, you're more productive during the day. And so it all compounds as such. So that's probably the biggest change that I can reflect on.
Mm-hmm. Now, there was another thing that I'd really love you to share, which I mentioned a bit earlier, and that is that you have a very, very cool approach to getting up in the morning. And I want to just kind of go back to the first time that you how this changed and how it kind of came about. Because I believe that there was a time when you were kind of like, you know, went down to the beach or something. Was that right? But if you could kind of share that story, that'd be much appreciated, I think.
Yeah, I will do, definitely. Yeah, look, it started with, you know, working and stress and overwhelm, shiny object syndrome. And, you know, probably the day, sat myself in front of the ocean, and it was just looking at the waves or looking at I don't know what it was about that day, but all those stresses and anxieties that you have about the day to day, just by looking at the ocean, was just it's almost like a calming effect on your body, your mind, your soul, all in one. And then when you compound it by the natural sounds of the waves, so you have obviously the sight, but then you compound it with the sound of the waves, and then it just the effect of that just compounds it even better. And so, you know, with that, I thought that needs a bit more exploring. And, you know, I was really, really curious and interested to say, well, if it was able to turn confusion and overwhelm and stress to a sense of serenity and calmness, then why wouldn't you try and do that more regularly? And so that's when it all started. I think, you know, I started to get up really early, and I was driven by two things. One, that I had all this wonderful material and learnings to learn from the ILRE real estate, and I had a day job. So the only way I could manage it was that if I get up 1 hour earlier, I can read through the material, I can get all the knowledge, make an action list, and then I'll go to work. And that was my mindset at the time. So it served different purposes. So I started with 5 in the morning. I'm now doing my alarm goes at 4:10 in the morning now. I don't have to do all those actions and all that stuff that I used to do, all the learnings. But now I get to appreciate the ocean at that hour of the morning. And what it is for me, it's that serenity that you get every day. You get up so early in the morning before noise, and there's some sense of peace that you get just by that. There's just no noise around you. And by the time you get to the ocean, you hear the ocean waves, that starts to then filter through your body and your mind. And then after you swim, it feels like you've had, well, for me, it's like a 12-hour sleep. I felt like energetic and ready for the day. And so I started to incorporate that in my day-to-day. So I started to do that daily. And, you know, they say it takes about 6 to 7 days, or there's different theories about it, to actually, so it becomes a habit. And then I was actually waking up before the actual alarm clock, and I would jump out of bed, you know, you run down and go for your swim. And that's when I knew that there was something in it, when the world around us started to change. It was really interesting. So because I was more calm and less stress, had more energy, and I was more productive. And because I was more productive, I was actually having those conversations, and that could actually allow us to accelerate our action plan. And that's when I knew that they were both linked. I knew that the ocean and Mother Nature gave you the energy to be able to give you the fuel that you needed for the day, for that week, for that year. So if you to do that on a regular basis, which we did, you know, that world changed around us very, very quickly. So I think it was that was probably one of the biggest learnings that we incorporated in our day-to-day.
I tell you, that's so cool to hear. So you essentially get up at around 4 o'clock in the morning, you go down, you go swimming every morning before sunrise.
Yep.
And how long have you been doing that for now?
Well, I started doing that probably 2016. Then I dropped off a little bit for about a year. So probably now it's 5+ years now. 5+.
5 years. So over 5 years, you've been doing that every morning.
Yeah.
Wow. And that must just kind of seep into how you live as well in a different way.
Yeah, it has to. One, because what it does to your body and your mind, it's like a reset button. You know, when you turn off your computer, it just resets again. I think for me, that was a reset, not only for my mind, for my body, but also to be able to, you know, every day, just clear everything out, start, and then go with your day. And it just felt like I probably had 1 or 2 days where I didn't go down, and that was because I was sick, or my wife wouldn't let me because of sickness. And sure, you're sick, but there's something when you don't do it versus when you do it. There's a big difference on your day. There's a massive difference. You feel that something's lacking. You're not as productive. You're not making really good decisions. You don't have the right energy. You're just not hitting your goals. So I've just made it like a routine now, whether it's raining, hail, shine, doesn't really matter. If you get there during that time, and it's pretty tough, like winter time probably drops down to 16 degrees, and it does get really, really cold. But again, it's a mindset thing. Once you're in, you're wet. It's not like you unwet yourself. So, you know, make the decision, dive, and then start swimming, and then you're fine. Yeah.
I got to say, I reckon that's how you approach a lot of things in life too, hey?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
And I just wanted to say that Jennifer said there, it's a bit cold in Melbourne for a morning swim, and you know, this time of year.
Yeah, it is cold. I heard it's actually like 14 degrees, so I feel for you. But look, it's an opportunity. I was talking to some friends who are based in Melbourne. I've just suggested what keeps you warm. You know, potentially might be like a wetsuit, for example, or if you wear the cap, that generally keeps the body temperature warm, because that's where a lot of the coldness sits on the head. So that's just some food for thought for people who want to do that. The reason why it's the ocean is really cool, and it can be a pool. It could be anything. The reason why I like the ocean was what I explained. It's just the waves and the sound and everything as well. And I think there's something magic about the ocean itself. You know, it's a living organism, and maybe Dymphna talks about that a lot more. But it's a living organism because you're living within that. Our body content, our water content is likely water. So, you know, depending on your school of thought, you know, depending on your energy, people talk about vibration and energy. It's really, really important. So if you've got a mindset, you know, this is what I want to achieve in the morning, this is my goals, and real committed. There is something, I can't explain it, but I know that from a vibration and energy, it certainly resonates within your body, within your mind, and things start to happen.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing, Sergio. Much appreciated on that. It's a little bit of a different out of the kind of the investing real estate side of things, but I think it's really important in your story to share that, because I think it's I kind of almost feel like I see that the response of that. You've got a nature and driven and got an energy about it, and so I wanted to kind of have a look at that. Awesome. Hey, so what do you tell others now about the community? What do you if someone was to ask you about the ILRE real estate community, or if you wanted to ask for some advice, what would you say?
Don't do it. No, look, look, it's a family. That's how I see it. You've got a warrior of a leader who really is passionate about what she does, and her story is just resonates with us. It's a wonderful, like-minded. So people come into it in different stages in life, but even though it's all different, you somehow are connected by similar goals. People talk about wealth creation, people talk about financial independence, and these are just properties, the vehicles to get you to that. So we have similar goals, and that's where we're all connected already, just at the outset. So that's really cool. I think having different experiences and people who apply different strategies is really cool, because you've got a community that's really, really safe. And if you're struggling with a challenge or an opportunity and you want an answer, I think that's really cool that you can be able to post it or connect to people who or even coaches to get a second opinion. And so doing that gives you a bit of a safety net in terms of what you're doing. But also what I found is that you can get potentially JV deals or joint venture deals. So people who are looking for, who've got money, but they don't have the knowledge. So it makes sense to do a JV deal, or vice versa. You may have the knowledge and the strategies, but you don't have the money. Then this is a great community to find that as well. So I think this is it's a commitment and a decision. And like with any family, you grow together. You grow through life and through circumstances, and you share successes. And that's what it's all about. You pat someone on the back for their success, and you wish them all the best. And that's really cool. I really like that about this community.
Fantastic. Sergio, I don't know if there's anything else you want to say. Actually, there was one question there about what time do you go to bed if you're going to get up at 4 o'clock?
Yes.
So Russa was like, hey, how do she's watching. You can see her there. And she's
That's
like,
right. That's right.
What time are you going to bed to get up at 4?
I'll go to bed strictly at 10. So, 10 o'clock, sometimes it's 10:15, 10:30. I found that if I have 6 hours, I've tested it. Right? I've tested what works for me. Everybody has their own kind of requirements as such. I've tried the 7, the 6, the 5. I've tried the 4, like sleeping 4 hours, and see how that works. It just doesn't work. 4 and 5 hours don't work for me. But if I have a minimum of 6 hours sleep, I'm all good. And so, yes, bed by 10, up by 4. That's the, on the weekend, I tend to just push it out by an hour. So I'll go to bed at 11 o'clock and get up at 5 o'clock. So, and I've been doing that probably for 2 years now. And yeah, it's been working so far. Might have to adjust it a little bit later, but we'll see.
There you go, Sarasa. Go to bed 10 o'clock tonight.
10.
It's your bedtime.
Yeah.
10.
and I guess test the waters, see what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Sergio, I'm very much appreciative. I don't know if there's anything else that we wanted to cover. If there's anything else you wanted to say and share, or maybe just advice for a new person. If a new person is just arriving and they're like, "What do I do?" What would you say to them? Yeah,
look, go to the events, take plenty of notes, and take action. That's the real thing. getting a property or building a JV deal, you may have all the knowledge, you may have all the strategies, but if you don't take action on them, they don't become into fruition. So, and if you find that it overwhelms you or it's too much, you know, procrastination happens to everybody. Just break it down, like break it down into daily chunks. Like what's the one thing I could do today that allows me to get closer to my goal? And that's just enough. You tick it off the list. And what that does in your mind, it actually builds confidence. Think of a bank balance of confidence and self-esteem. Every time you say, this is what I want to do, and you actually tick it off, it actually builds self-esteem. And so by incrementally doing that day by day, you're walking towards your goal. And so that's the main thing. And yeah, action, which is great. And just, you know, just tick off that list because you will get there. And be patient. You know, success doesn't happen at all fast pace and everything else. Just be patient with your goals. You're going to get challenges on the way, but look, you're supportive and you're going to grow from that experience. And so if you fast forward where you are today to a year's time, you're going to be, you know, if you're taking action every day, I guarantee you'll be a different person in a year's time, 100%.
Absolutely. And you are just a classic example of doing exactly that. Fantastic. Willie and Jules were saying, Sergio, how long were you in ILRE Real Estate before you took action?
Straight. So we started February 2018. Our first property, we joined Platinum in September of the same year. Our first property came in, I think, early 2019. So it took about a year to get the first deal and have our first property. And then 2019 was all those properties that we mentioned in that year.
Got it. Cool. Cool. That's it. And I think Charity has been tuning in via Facebook as well.
G'day, babe. How are you? Did I say everything?
Oh, well, I don't know if she's going to type in there. I can see if she's typing in there, but I'm sure you have. So look, so Joe, thank you so much. Really appreciate you taking the time out today and sharing. There's so many things about your story which I love, which I find aligning with so many students who've gone out there and done well. And it's all about, it's the taking the action. It's being very decisive, very clear on your decisions. It's being responsible for your own decisions and your own actions. And then it's just, it's following your goals and following things through and keeping that consistency there. And then leaning on the team and so forth. There's so many things about it which I really appreciate. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. That's it. Unless there's anything else, I think that there was a lot of nice comments coming through as well. So
awesome, Michael. Thanks for the opportunity and good luck, everyone. It's an exciting experience, and I wish you all the best and every success. And you will get there, no doubt.
Awesome, man. Well, look, thank you so much, and everyone for joining us. Really much appreciated. Like you know, these are recorded. You can review them straight on Facebook right now. So the recording has been streamed into the Ultimate group. If you want to review that, go there to review it, and then there'll be an editing process. They'll go up on the members' website as well. So yeah. Have a fantastic Friday afternoon and a fantastic weekend. For those of you who are Quantum or Platinums, we do have Fast Profits. That's boot camp is coming up Saturday and Sunday. Make sure you jump onto those for those Quantum and Platinums. And the other thing is the ILRE Real Estate Super Conference. We're actually still asking for new stories as well. At the moment, last time I checked, there was 16. Thank you so much for the 16. Check them out. I think the links are up there on the page somewhere about. I'll put them up there as well. But this is for this ILRE Real Estate 2021 Super Conference, which is coming up. That's going to be fantastic. Sergio, you shared your story at one of the previous Super Conferences, I think 2019.
Yes,
is that right? Yep. Yeah.
Actually,
last thing, what was that like as an experience to get up on stage and share?
Yeah, look, a little bit nerve-wracking to begin with, but I tell you what, it was safe, and it was really cool. That's the first time actually presenting to such a wide audience on something that we've done in the past. So it was just really cool to share the stage. To be honest with Dymphna, you know, it's almost like she's like a semi-guy. Being close to Dymphna and asking questions and all that. I think it was great. It was great to experience it with my wife, Charity, as well. I had my little boy on in the audience with his grandmother. So it was really cool. It was a really cool experience. It was a really fun weekend, actually. So really loved it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, Sergio. Thanks everyone for joining. We're going to end off here. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, and we'll catch up with you around.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Okay.
Michael. See you,
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Sergio. Alrighty. See you, everyone now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.